In 1947, Joey Lomangino lost his sight and sense of smell in a freak accident that severed his optic and olfactory nerves. After a long and painful period of readjustment, he emerged in 1961 as a successful businessman, but greatly tired from overwork. His doctor suggested that he take a European vacation. So he left his home in Lindenhurst, New York, with relatives, to visit his uncle in southern Italy. Joey was not very religious at the time, and due only to his uncle's persistence did he consent to a long automobile ride that ended in San Giovanni Rotondo, where the stigmatist Padre Pio lived. This Franciscan friar, with the wounds of Christ in his hands, feet, and side, was revered as a living saint. But Joey didn't anticipate any personal encounter. After the Mass was over, he found himself in a room with some other men to receive the Padre's blessing as he passed by.
As Father Pio came into the room, we all knelt down and received his blessing. And Father Pio was coming from the left-hand side of the room across the front. And all of a sudden I heard the moving of knees and all, and I didn't know what was going on. And Father Pio had his arms around me, and he started to kiss me on the forehead, and he said, "Joey," he said, "I'm so happy to see you." And my uncle told me that was Father Pio embracing me, and I was at a loss for words because I was almost the last one up there, and nobody knew I was going, not even myself. I knew I was going to Father Pio.
Joey was deeply impressed, and 2 years later returned to San Giovanni. This time he decided to go to confession to Padre Pio.
I went into Father Pio, into the confessional, and I knelt down on the kneeling bench, and Father Pio was sitting right in front of me. And he took me by the hand like that, and I was shocked because I thought of the American confessional, you know, with the panel, see? So when I knelt down and Father Pio had me by the hand, he told me in Italian, he says, "Joey, confess yourself." And to be very honest with you, I was embarrassed because I wasn't leading the right life, and I was just flabbergasted. I didn't know just what to say. So Father Pio took me by the hand like that, and he tells me in Italian, he says, "Confess yourself." And again, I just found it very difficult to speak to him. And then in perfect English, he said to me, "Joey," he says, "do you remember when you were in a bar with a woman named Barbara? Do you remember the sins you committed?" And in perfect English, he went right down the line and telling me the people I was with, the places I was at, and the sins I committed. And of course, I was perspiring, and but I had the grace by God to realize that if I had to endure all of that to get back to being happy, it was worth it. And I really believed that Father Pio could help me. So, of course, when he came to the bottom of all my sins, and it felt to me like 1,000 years, he said to me in Italian, he says, "Are you sorry?" And I says, "Yes, I am, Father Pio." He gave me absolution for my sins. My eyes started to roll in my head. I started to rub my eyes like this, and my head was going around. I kept rubbing my eyes, and my head kept going around. And then all of a sudden, my mind became very, very clear. And he put up a stigmata hand like this to my lips. I kissed the stigmata, and then he gave me a little smack in the face, and he tells me in Italian, "Joey, a little patience and a little courage, and you're going to be all right." I was 33 years old, and I felt like I was 16. I had a firm purpose of amendment. I was sorry for all the sins I committed in my life. And I felt so good and so clean that I just didn't want to get involved with anybody because I was afraid just by talking, I was going to lose the grace that I received.
But there was still another grace in store for Joey as he again knelt with the other men to receive Padre Pio's blessing.
When I had my injury up here in 1947, I lost my sense of smell. And this has been all stitched up, and this is a 3-inch fracture across the top. I not only lost my eyes, but I lost my sense of smell. So when I knelt down, to receive Father Pio's blessing, I got the fragrance of rose that comes from the blood in his hands. And when I got that fragrance, I was startled, and I went against the wall, my arms up like this to protect myself. I didn't know what it was. So Father Pio pulled down my hand, and he told me in Italian, "Joey, don't be afraid." And he touched me like this at the bridge of my nose, and my sense of smell was restored to me after being without it from the day of my accident in June 1947, which was 16 years.
Joey was overwhelmed with peace and joy and did not want to leave San Giovanni.